have seen it.
A Palantir is a dangerous tool, Saruman.
Why? Why should we fear to use it?
They are not all accounted for. The lost seeing stones. We do not know who else may be watching.
What is it that calls you to such a place? Duty? Knowledge? Revenge? Or merely fate?
Now we're going to run a few tests. This is a simple lie detector. I'll ask you a few yes or no questions, and you just answer truthfully. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's happened to all of us at least once. Either you didn't ask the right questions, an important NPC died, or you missed a small but critical clue, and now you're completely lost with no idea what to do. Well, never fear. I have 5 great ways to gather information in-game, ranked from what I think is the least economical to what I think is the most efficient and versatile. But they all work, and your mileage will vary, based on what situation you're in and what kind of information you need. But all of these work, and it's always good to have more options. Starting off with number 5, you can hire an NPC to do research for you. What you're looking for is a sage. A sage is a master of learning, steeped in legends and lore, and a master of a particular discipline. Given enough time, they can typically figure out any question or riddle related to their area of expertise. Hiring a sage to figure out something for you is a little on the pricey side. It will cost you 15 gold per day. Another potential option you have is hiring a spellcaster. I'm going to be going over a number of spells, and if they're not something you can do, you can hire someone to do it for you. Having someone cast a spell for you will cost 10 gold, times caster level times spell level, plus any material costs. If there is a focus required, like with the Divination spell, it will cost you 1/10 of the focus cost. It's also important to remember that finding your sage or spellcasting helper could be an adventure in and of itself. The number 4 way to gather information in-game, ask an outsider. There are some neat ways to get in contact with beings outside the prime material plane, and there's no telling what important secrets or information they could have for you. One spell you might consider is Commune. In order to commune with a deity or a representative of a deity, you'll need a cleric or oracle capable of casting 5th level spells. The casting time is 10 minutes, and it requires holy water or unholy water and incense worth 500 gold pieces. The supernatural entity you contact will answer yes or no questions, 1 per level. This spell is kind of best used for getting information to help you make a decision. That's kind of, should we do this, should we do that? Right or wrong course of action kind of things. A similar but not quite the same option is Contact Other Plane. This has a 10-minute casting time, and will require a sorcerer or wizard capable of casting 5th level spells. This also gives you yes or no answers. However, there is no material component cost. There is, however, a risk. First off, you are not really guaranteed an accurate answer. You could get a true answer, the entity you contact might not know, or it might lie to you. This is determined with a D100 roll. Now, there are many different planes you could choose to contact. You could try the elemental plane, the positive-negative energy plane, the astral plane, and any of the demi-planes associated with various gods and demigods. All of them carry their own specific risk and different odds of a correct answer. The easiest and safest, but least reliable for the correct information, is the elemental plane. For any of these, once you've contacted the plane, you have to make either an intelligence or charisma check. For the elemental plane, it's a DC 7. If you succeed your check, you're completely fine. However, if you fail your check, either your intelligence or charisma is reduced to 8, and you're unable to cast arcane spells for 1 week. The duration of this increases based on the more powerful entity or the more esoteric a plane you're trying to contact. Alternatively, you could bring something from another plane to you, via either planar ally or planar binding. This will require a cleric or oracle capable of casting 6th level spells. There are lots of things you can do to improve your odds of being able to summon something from another plane. These are things like knowing its true name and having an appropriate offering. But you will need an offering worth at least 1,250 gold. The being you summon must also be no more than 12 hit die. You'll also have alignment considerations. If you're a lawful evil spellcaster, don't try and summon an Azada. They'll just either not show up at all, or they'll try and slay you when they get there. Now, if you're feeling a bit more daring, you could try Contact Entity. This allows you to try and get an audience with something from the Cthulhu mythos. Obviously, this has both substantial rewards and substantial risks. First, generally, Contact Entity is not a readily available spell. You'll probably need to either research it or find a scroll of it or something like that. Once you know how to Contact Entity, casting it will take 1 minute, and it has a range of 100 miles. You will essentially send out an invitation of sorts for a specific type of Eldritch Abomination. For the first level of Contact Entity, that abomination can be no more than 6 hit die. You will also need a specific item as your material component based on what you're trying to contact. As an example, a cerebral fungus requires a scholarly tome. A night gaunt needs a statue of an animal with its face filed off. A ratling requires a spell scroll of at least 1st level or higher. Additionally, this spell can be either chaotic or evil, or both, depending on what you're trying to contact. Trying to call the insectoid fungus, called the Migo, is an evil action. You'll need the fresh brain of an intelligent creature for that, by the way. Also, if you call Cthulhu, this does count as making mental contact, so you're subject to any rules or penalties that entails. Finally, using this spell to contact entity means that the entity now has a link to you for the purpose of spells like Scrying. It counts as having first-hand information of you, equivalent to if it had a picture of your likeness. Also, the creature will be making its own way to you, and it will arrive whenever the hell it feels like it. Number 3. Good old-fashioned Necromancy. One of my favorite Necromancy spells is Speak with Dead. This is a great spell with a lot of fun ways to use it. Casting Speak with Dead has a duration of 10 minutes, and you'll need a cleric or oracle capable of casting at least 3rd level spells. The target of the spell must be one dead creature. In order for it to speak, it must have at least a head and a mouth capable of speaking. It's best if the body is mostly intact. Partially dismembered or broken up corpses will give incomplete and broken up answers. Also, it's important to note that the creature can be dead for any amount of time. So it doesn't matter whether it's a fresh battlefield corpse or one that's been in a tomb for eons. It'll still work either way. If the creature has an alignment which is opposed to yours, it gets a will save. If it succeeds, the corpse can refuse to answer. If the corpse has been the target of a Speak with Dead spell in the last week, the spell automatically fails. Also, another thing you should remember when using this spell, you can ask for more than just, where am I going, what am I doing, what should I be doing type information. You can ask for things like, if it's a dead wizard, you can ask what spells he knows. You might not like the answers, but you can ask. Another spell you might think about trying is Call Spirit. This takes 10 minutes, and you'll need a cleric capable of casting up to 5th level spells. For this spell, it really helps to have more information about who you're trying to get. Because the spirit receives a will save, and if it succeeds, a malevolent spirit hell-bent on tricking you shows up. So, if you only know the name, it gets a plus 15 to its will save to not show up. You can also improve your odds with something from the deceased. A likeness or picture imposes a -2 penalty on their will save. A body part like a lock of hair or fingernails imposes a -10. Once you get your spooky new friend, you can ask a total of 1 question per caster level. A fun little trick that psychic spellcasters can do is a spell called Grave Words. This causes one dead creature to randomly babble information, and there's a 10% chance that it will be something useful. This is a cantrip, so feel free to use it over and over again. Number 2 on my list of information gathering techniques is Divination. Now, some of the stuff I have covered is Divination, but this is a little bit more focused. Let's start off with Blood Biography. This allows you to learn the answer to a specific set of questions about a creature if you have at least a drop of its blood. And this works on dry or fresh blood. You can ask, "Who are you?" This will give you the creature's name. You could ask, "What are you?" This will give you gender, race, profession, or role. "How was your blood shed?" This gives you a brief outline of the events which caused the wound, and that's to the best of the victim's knowledge. Finally, you can ask, "When was your blood shed?" In order to cast this spell, you'll need a cleric or wizard who can cast up to 3rd level spells. Another useful divination spell is Locate Object. Clerics get this at 3rd level, but wizards get it at 2nd. Casting this spell is a standard action. It has a range of 400 feet plus 40 feet per level. The spell allows you to sense the location of a well-known or clearly visualized object. Good uses for this are if someone you're looking for has a specific item that you're familiar with. Say one of your companions has gone missing, and you know he has a favorite sword, you can try and hunt down the sword. Or if you've been sent into a dungeon looking for a specific item, you can use this spell to try and get a bead on where it is. Locate Creature is kind of a similar concept, except you need a wizard capable of casting 4th level spells. And this creates almost a scent trail to the creature you're looking for. Also, you do need to know the creature. Specifically, you have to have seen them up close, within 30 feet at least once. Now, if you're looking for answers that are kind of a should I do this, should I not do this variety, think about Augury and Divination. One of the main differences between the two is how far forward into the future they can look. The results you're going to get from either Augury or Divination are going to be weal, meaning good, woe, meaning bad, weal and woe for both, or nothing. An example use is, I'm going into a dungeon and the path forks, should I go left or should I go right? You'll cast Augury and say, should I go right? You might get woe if there's a big scary dragon down there. You might get weal if there's a room with lots of treasure. The final divination technique I want to talk about is Scrying. This spell requires a cleric or oracle capable of casting up to 5th level spells, although arcane casters like sorcerers, wizards, and witches get it at 4th level. This will take an hour, and it requires a pool of water and a silver mirror as a focus, worth at least 1,000 gold. If you're scrying, you can observe creatures at any distance. The subject does receive a will save, and you can modify that the more you know about them. If you know nothing about the creature, it gets a +10 bonus to its will save. If you know the subject well, they take a -5. Also, if you have a connection to who you're looking for, such as a picture, a garment, or a body part, that will also impose further penalties. Additionally, you can try to cast some of the following spells through the Scrying. They have a 5% per caster level chance of succeeding. You can cast Detect Chaos, Detect Evil, Detect Good, Detect Law, Detect Magic, and Message. The number 1 information gathering technique I'm going to recommend for you are skills and class features. So, if you are playing a bard or something like that, you've got a ton of these. First off, definitely use your knowledge skills. That's what they're there for. To get you out of circumstances where you're not entirely sure what you should do. Also, the dice checks that you're going to make with your knowledge skills can occasionally be enhanced with some helpful items. Like the Blue Book. This gives you a +2 to knowledge local. A Footprint Book gives you a bonus to survival checks to identify footprints. The Tome of Epics, in addition to some other cool things, gives you a +2 knowledge nobility bonus for heroic legends and deeds. Finally, the Monster Almanac gives you a +2 bonus to when you want to identify a monster. Also, if you're playing a spellcaster with an improved familiar that's either an imp or one of those little fairy-like Azata, they can cast Commune once per week. For the psychically inclined, you have access to occult skill unlocks. That's things like automatic writing and dowsing, both of which can be really helpful if you're trying to get information in specific circumstances. Finally, you can use some of your downtime to research facts and lore. A research check requires you to do a knowledge check of the appropriate kind. By spending 1 day of downtime thoroughly researching a topic, you can attempt 3 knowledge checks as you go about town and go to reliable sources that may have some expertise on what you're trying to find out. Also, if you're good at diplomacy, you can use the Gather Information activity, where you spend 1d4 hours convincing locals to give you the latest gossip. It's a DC 10 for common facts and rumors, but if you want something more obscure, the DC is going to increase to 20. I hope this list has given you some useful suggestions on how to progress if you get stuck in your next Pathfinder game. Now, if you're interested in more strategy guides and character analysis for Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder, check out D6 Damage right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching.